everyone, welcome back. So, Sia's movie is out in Australia now. I have not seen it because I am not in Australia, I am Canadian. But I have read a couple reviews which confirmed everything I was afraid of. And then I saw the leaked footage of the meltdown scene and it's only a 15-second clip, but it made me want to throw up. So I don't know that I would even be able to stomach it if I tried to watch it. So we're going to start by doing some reading from Film Daily, which will give a bit of a refresher. And yeah, so nonverbal autistic character played by Maddie Ziegler, who of course is not autistic, yet the casting is the first thing. Sia did say she attempted to work with a nonverbal female on the spectrum who reported that she found the experience uncomfortable and unpleasant. However, it has been documented that both Sia herself and Maddie Ziegler have both remarked several times prior to this statement that the role of music was actually written for Ziegler. So, starting off our little refresher on this topic with basically confirmation that Sia lied and was totally comfortable lying in such a way that made it look like she's completely unwilling to be accommodating to disabled people. There we go. There's our first big problem. And then this article also gets into a bit of things with criticisms around representation of autism. Some members of the autism community took offense at the fact that Sia described music as having special abilities rather than a disability. In her Teen Vogue op-ed, Charlotte Gush wrote the phrase, "Special abilities is patronizing, that the word disability is not bad, but in fact the correct way to describe people on the spectrum. Sia's avoidance to using this term has angered many, myself included." Scenes in music have come under harsh criticism from the autism community as well. At Autistic Cats, a Twitter account run by autistic people, shared a leaked TikTok video of a scene in which music is having a meltdown, depicting Zoo holding music down in prone restraint. Yeah. We're gonna get into that one too. Everything that I read from is going to be linked in the description, so we're just starting with this one as the refresher, and so yeah. That summarizes what we're dealing with. So, the first of the two reviews that I found that I'm going to share is from Perth Now. When the trailer for Sia's directorial debut Music sparked controversy last year over the casting of a neurotypical actor in the role of a nonverbal autistic girl, the singer urged people to see her film before judging it. Several apologetic interviews later, the film is now out in the world to be judged for what it is, an overlong Sia music video that uses its autistic character music as a prop to further the stories of the neurotypical characters. This character does this, that character does that. Inserted into the regular narrative are fantasy musical numbers meant to be a representation of how music sees the world. Having the narrative flow interrupted by an album's worth of Sia music gets old very quickly, and these sequences are not a replacement for giving music a genuine point of view. She is ultimately sidelined in favor of a stock standard story about Zoo overcoming her own self-destructive tendencies and a romance with Ebo. If Sia had really wanted to make a film for the autism community, she could have funded autistic characters to do just that. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these character names correctly. I haven't seen the movie. Quite frankly, I don't want to. So, I'm doing my best here based on just reading. If I pronounce the names wrong, just tell me. Yeah, so, yeah. That one does a pretty good summary, I would say, of how this definitely sounds like inspiration porn for neurotypicals, which is exactly what the trailer made it look like. Next review is from The Guardian. Australian pop star and songwriter Sia's feature directorial debut music is in effect two very different films with wildly disparate tones, stuck together using a sludgy mixture of by-the-book drama and hipstery eclecticism. Yeah, that's also what the trailer made it look like. The trailer, oh my gosh, I remember watching that. I was just, what was that? When the trailer landed last November, it went down like a lead balloon, drawing ire from the disability community for not casting the real deal and for appearing to have what some saw as an ableist gaze. Definitely has an ableist gaze. When Sia fired back with since deleted tweets, which we'll always all remember because we got screenshots, deleting tweets did not help you, Sia. Yeah, the situation got messier. She insisted, for instance, that she had originally cast an autistic person in the lead role, never mind that interview in which she claimed to have written the movie specifically for Ziegler. It all felt a bit icky. It is a bit icky. It doesn't just feel icky. But yeah, there we go. Further confirmation that Sia is just a liar. The tone of the drama in Sia's film shoots for kitchen sink realism, but is hampered in part by pages ripped from the playbook, such as the old crime don't pay chestnut and a Rain Man dynamic involving a morally dubious person rejuvenated after spending time with an on-the-spectrum sibling. In Sia's film, as in Barry Levinson's 1988 road movie, the autistic characters feel more like dramatic tools to improve the circumstances of neurotypical people, rather than fully fledged humans who think, feel, and act on their own terms. Yeah. Is there anything else in here? In music, it's all a bit of a hodgepodge. Sia hurling rainbow-colored mud at the proverbial wall in the hope something will stick. She in turn creates spectacles not just divorced from the drama, but from each other, with the loosest kind of tonal consistency. These numbers have a certain eclectic je ne sais quoi, but before long their randomness feels like the equivalent of the director watching TV and regularly changing the channel as if bored by her own movie. So, yeah, neurotypical inspiration porn that just uses an autistic character as a prop, and it doesn't even really sound like the reviewers think there's anything at all salvageable here either. So yeah, these two reviews basically just make it sound like exactly what the trailer made it look like to me. And then we get to the Meltdown thing. So I first came across the Meltdown thing through a post shared on Facebook. The post was a public post from Hazelwood Consulting. I don't know that I would at all effectively be able to link a Facebook post. But yeah, for anyone wanting to find the Facebook post, that's it. That's the account, Hazelwood Consulting. Credit where credit is due. And of course, the Facebook post didn't come with any sort of linked article for confirmation, but Google turned up the Autistic Cat's Twitter thread, as well as an article that is a little more forgiving towards Sia for this movie, but it does include confirmation that she said some major bullshit about the Meltdown thing. So we're going to start with the Twitter thread. Content warning, autistic meltdown, prone restraint, death. This is an extremely hard thing for me to write about, but in Sia's new movie, the autistic character music is shown having several meltdowns and being held in prone restraint. And that it includes the leaked video that was up through TikTok, which I watched and it made me want to puke. So continuing with the Twitter thread, for those who don't know, prone restraint is extremely dangerous. Just a few days ago, the story of a 16-year-old autistic boy named Eric Parsa came up on the news. He died last year at the hands of police by being held in prone restraint and sat on during a meltdown. When I was younger, I had pretty frequent meltdowns. My parents would put me in prone restraint, roll me up into a blanket so I couldn't move my limbs, and then sit on me. I was an 80-pound child, and they were adults. I remember desperately gasping, "I can't breathe." I could have been killed. I could have suffocated or choked on my own saliva. It didn't seem like my parents knew how dangerous what they were doing was, but I could feel how threatened I was in those moments. Their weight made it extremely hard to expand my chest and breathe. Watching this leaked scene from the film has been extremely traumatic for me. It gave me flashbacks. It's so hard to even write this thread. My hands are trembling and my heart is pounding. Prone restraint is deadly, but this film acts like it's normal and necessary. Autistic people are being killed. We are being killed by people who don't know how to handle meltdowns, who use dangerous tactics like the ones shown in this film. And then the rest of the thread is basically just a list of people who have died from that kind of restraint. And yeah. So the original Facebook post that I saw alerting me to this being in the film said that Sia said things about feeling compelled to put it in because of certain reasons. So I found confirmation that she did indeed say that in this article that is a bit more forgiving towards her of the ableist trash that she released as a movie. In one scene, music suffers from sensory overload in a park, an incident that sees those on the spectrum unable to cope with too much happening at once or changes in routine. Music begins to yell and hit herself, and Zoo has to lie on her to create physical pressure to calm her down, one of many techniques used by carers of some people on the spectrum. That scene was so important to me because of all the people staring, Sia says. I felt compelled to put it in. I just thought that was so powerful and scary, really scary for the caregiver who has to have those kinds of thoughts. Powerful and really scary for the caregiver. Never mind the autistic person who is in crisis and could be killed by using that kind of restraint. Scary for the caregiver. Never mind the autistic person who is literally in crisis and terrified for their life. Which, yeah, that is basically what the original Facebook post that I found said as well. And I am absolutely terrified of ever having a meltdown in public because of this kind of thing. I have yet to actually have a meltdown in public, especially as an adult. At this point, I have gotten it to the point where instead of having a meltdown in public, I will either go fully nonverbal or just completely shut down. Basically just stand there like a robot and just break down internally rather than showing it externally. But I don't know that that's always going to work, and also that in itself is also extremely unpleasant for other reasons. Basically just standing there useless, getting led around by whoever's with me. Um, but I do have meltdowns in the privacy of my own home still, where I will claw at my arms or rip my own hair out or bite myself and other sorts of self-injurious behaviors. I am terrified of that ever happening in public. Again, right now, usually what will happen in public is I'll just shut down instead and just break down later in private. But that takes so much control and that is so exhausting. People will label me as being high functioning, and like, yes, I am able to work, but that is all that I can do in a day. Quite often I will have so much taken out of me by just forcing myself to go to work and get through that day okay, and then I'll go home and just lie down and not be able to do anything else. All of this is just showing that functioning labels are like, I don't even know what my train of thought with what I just said was. It made sense mentally. I think I may have skipped one or two steps with the words because I'm just I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore. Sia said, wait and judge my movie after you see it. I don't need to see it. I saw 15 seconds of it and that made me want to throw up. I have read the reviews and it is exactly what we all thought it was going to be. Just more neurotypical inspiration porn reinforcing stereotypes of functioning labels that do nothing but hurt people and people just look at me and go, oh, you're high functioning, so you don't know what real autism is. Like, that's not how that works. This is just bringing up so much trauma for autistic self-advocates, having to go over this and break down the ways in which it's harmful, and people are still going to go and defend Sia and say, no, this is great representation, when it's really not. It's neurotypical inspiration porn that reinforces stereotypes and bringing up PTSD for some advocates. And yeah, links will be in the description for the articles and stuff. And Sia stands, I do not care what you have to say to me this time around. I didn't care the last few times. You're just going to go off and defend her with whatever bullshit you want to use this time, and no. There's nothing defensible about this. This movie is just inspiration porn with bad stereotypes and reinforcing that certain things are safe when they're not, and congratulations, your favorite just reinforced the use of a form of restraint that literally kills people in her movie. Have fun with that. Go off on me if you want. I do not care. I am too exhausted to care. This is exhausting. Can't believe people are still defending us after watching it. well, yeah. I don't know what else to say here. Probably should have filmed while in a better mood, but watching that clip, yeah. Well, thank you for watching. I hope that I'll be feeling better next video I do. I am moving soon, so this might actually also be the last video that I film in this location. I'm gonna go practice piano now, I think. Something to cleanse my brain from this bullshit. I hope you all have a better day than I am having so far with going over all of this. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one, which hopefully won't be so depressing. Bye.